Welcome to the Colleague Experience episode. Today, we're diving into bold insights, fearless experimentation, and groundbreaking leadership strategies that challenge the status quo. Inspired by the innovative spirit of Michael Faraday, we'll explore how embracing a playful, experimental approach can tackle chronic organizational issues and unleash hidden potential. Get ready for an invigorating journey into the world of creative problem-solving. Let's dive in. Michael Faraday was among the most productive scientists of the 19th century, and this despite never receiving formal education. He acquired his love for science while working as an apprentice bookbinder. Fortunately for us, he apparently spent more time reading than binding, and this is how his unusual career as a scientist began. Faraday discovered the electromagnetic field and electromagnetic induction, invented the dynamo, and as if that wasn't enough, he also discovered benzene and formulated the laws of electrolysis. Not bad for a bookbinder's apprentice. The thing is, due to the unconventional way his scientific career developed, Faraday didn't master mathematics like other scientists of his time. Faraday didn't let this bother him. While he wasn't particularly gifted mathematically, he was an excellent experimenter. In Faraday's time, it was already common to design experiments to prove theories that scientists had hypotheses about. But he worked differently. Somewhat childishly, he conducted experiments to learn from their results, even when he had no defined hypothesis about what those results would be. This is how he made many of his discoveries. He simply tried and tried until he discovered an interesting phenomenon that he then studied until he could extract a scientific theory from it. There's something charming about this method, something we've somewhat lost. The slightly childish attitude that treats the whole process like a game, as if there are no timelines, no rules, no methods. Just play. We think most of us don't allow ourselves this freedom in life generally, but right now we're interested in the organizational arena. Let's take the organizational parallel to experimentation. What do we call an experiment in organizational language? Right. A pilot. What happens in real life when we try to deal with chronic challenges in the system? There's discussion about a method or process that someone has proposed. Some think one way, others think differently. We argue a bit, and then someone always stands up and suggests, let's do a pilot. The ultimate solution. Pilot. Those in favor get some progress to prove their point, and those against get a delay in the decision. From this position, we plan the pilot. Usually, whoever plans and leads the pilot wants it to succeed. How is pilot success measured? By proving their point and having their proposal expanded to other areas. From here, there are several possibilities. Either the pilot succeeds, and then it's apparently clear what to do. Or it fails, and then it's also clear what to do. Or, what happens in quite a few cases, there's disagreement about whether it succeeded or failed, and what its relevance is to other areas in the organization. And then, what do we do? Back to square one. Back to arguing. We're exaggerating a bit, but don't tell us you haven't been in a similar situation. We worked with a large media agency that had been struggling for years with client retention. Every quarter, they'd lose a few major accounts, and every quarter they'd launch another client relationship enhancement pilot. One pilot focused on dedicated account teams, another on weekly check-ins, yet another on predictive analytics for client satisfaction. Each pilot would run for 3 months, show mixed results, and then the leadership team would spend another 3 months debating whether the pilot worked or not. Meanwhile, clients kept leaving, and the underlying issues around agency culture, creative quality, and strategic thinking remained untouched. In our opinion, in situations dealing with chronic challenges, those we've been trying unsuccessfully to address for a long time, there's room to be a bit more like Michael Faraday, to plan less and try more, To go with small, not particularly dramatic experiments, whose goal is not to succeed or fail, but mainly to learn more about the system. To experiment with the hope that afterward we can try something new that we currently don't have the knowledge to even think about. In parentheses, we'll say it seems to us that maybe it's time to stop the boring and tedious lessons learned that almost no one ever implements anything from. Instead of digging into the past, we suggest imagining the future. Instead of looking for who's to blame or what caused what happened, maybe it's more interesting to talk about what could be. Instead of investigating, it's worth imagining. When there's a chronic organizational problem, one that keeps coming back again and again and doesn't disappear, it's usually an indication of a story happening beneath the surface that we're not talking about, or at least not talking about enough. Something that's in front of us and we can't manage to see. We saw this pattern clearly in a pharmaceutical company where clinical trial delays had become endemic. For 3 years running, trials were consistently 6 to 9 months behind schedule. The organization kept launching pilots around project management software, cross-functional teams, and vendor management processes. Each pilot showed marginal improvements, but the delays persisted. It was only when we started running small experiments, almost playful investigations, that we discovered the real issue. Senior researchers were terrified of making decisions that might impact patient safety, so they were creating elaborate, informal approval processes that nobody acknowledged officially. The chronic delays weren't about project management at all. They were about an unspoken culture of fear that had developed after a previous trial had serious adverse events 5 years earlier. To avoid repeating the same solutions, just in a slightly different variant, and discovering that reality hasn't changed, the organization's leadership needs to learn to play. To dare to make attempts that will broaden the perspective and expose parts of the organization's blind spots. This requires courage, because there's no knowing what these experiments will reveal, and also because there's no orderly process that ends in certainty. If you will, you could say that the role of leadership in dealing with chronic challenges is to discover and bring out the child that exists in the organization and simply let them play. The beauty of Faraday's approach wasn't that he was anti-intellectual or anti-planning. It was that he understood something profound about discovery. When we're dealing with problems that have resisted our best efforts, our best thinking, and our most carefully designed solutions, we need to admit that we might not understand the problem as well as we think we do. We need to become curious again, like children who haven't yet learned that some questions aren't supposed to be asked. This means designing experiments not to prove we're right, but to discover what we don't know. It means being willing to try things that seem small or even silly, because sometimes the smallest intervention reveals the largest insight. It means creating space for the kind of organizational play that can uncover the stories we've been telling ourselves about why things are the way they are. Most importantly, it means accepting that in complex systems, the path to breakthrough often looks nothing like the careful, logical progression we think it should. Sometimes, like Faraday with his endless tinkering and testing, we need to trust the process of discovery itself, even when we can't see where it's leading. That brings us to the end of today's podcast. We explored how adopting an experimental approach like Michael Faraday's can reveal hidden problems in organizations, especially where traditional methods fall short. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends and colleagues so they can also stay updated on the latest news and gain powerful insights. Stay tuned for more updates.